Documents for the total.
Yes.
We are called to order at 5:30 PM. We all can rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Paula, you can call the roll.
Wheeler,
Here.
Barge,
Here.
Sluter,
Here.
Brenner,
Here.
Kilgore, Johnson,
Here.
Swint.
Here. We have a forum, we will proceed. Mission, vision, and statement. Our mission is to inspire and prepare students for the next level of education and work life. Our vision is to foster student growth and build trusting partnerships between students, staff, family, and community. And education at WBSD 7 will support our students' intellectual, social, and emotional growth. We will provide students with an innovative curriculum supported by various co-curricular activities. The outcome of our efforts will empower students to make a difference in their community and world. We believe in providing a safe environment where healthy relationships and student growth are priorities. Item number 2, adopt agenda.
I move to adopt.
We have one item quickly that we need to remove, so I'll need a motion to remove item G, approve amended arbiter agreement. We do not have a copy of that for our review.
I'll make a motion to remove item 9G.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We will remove item G. And then moving on to adopting the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Showcasing schools, McVeigh Elementary School presentation.
All right, my name is Tanya Brenner. I'm the principal at McVeigh Elementary. This is my third year / second term at McVeigh. So we have a lot of great things happening. This is just a staff picture of us. There are 87 of us. I think you were all pretty close to being there. So that's us in a snapshot. Next slide. So here are some demographics of McVeigh. And it gives you a true picture of what we look like. We have 87 total staff members. We are 467 students, a little over 500 with pre-K, and that fluctuates often. We have 103 IEP students. We have 52 EL students, and we are about 41% free and reduced lunch. So we are a Title I school. We are very diverse, as you can see, which I feel brings a special feel to our school. Next slide. So every day during announcements and our bus driver of the month assemblies, we have our McVeigh motto to build climate and culture. And just like always, all right, McVeigh staff, you ready? Let's say it. We are McVeigh Mustangs. Every day we gain self-control. are respectful,
stay on task, and try new things. This year we will grow.
And so this applies to all staff, all students, academically, non-academically. So, next slide. We also have 3 goals for our school, and these are there's only one that changed a little bit as from last year. So we always have an attendance goal, and last year we had an attendance goal of 90%. And then we realized that the district goal is 95%, so we increased that goal this year. We also, to help increase that goal, we created, and I know this has pros and cons, but we do a perfect attendance party each quarter, and we are projected 70-ish to go to Spring Lake Park here in the end of the month. That's our first attendance reward. Our second goal is academic using NDA plus data. So, and this gets kind of wordy, but the percentage of students reaching a level 3, which is at or above grade level in grades 3 and 4, and a level 2 or above in grades K2 will increase by 10%. So our goal is we want to increase 10% from fall to winter and winter to spring for our students. And then also increase student engagement is always a big thing. So those are our 3 goals. Next slide. So things are good at McVeigh, and these are all of the things that are good at McVeigh. These are just a few things I should say. So we are in year 3 of BAR. So our big block, our small block meetings, our U-time lessons, which happen every Wednesday in the classroom, our community connect meeting, which is also connected to BAR, our PLCs, which happen every Wednesday. We do have a very positive climate when you arrive. Thanks to our PTO, our building looks fantastic. If you've driven by the front of the building, it looks really great. We have a new title team, and that has built a strong foundation for our interventions. Our attendance is growing, so that's good. Our parent engagement, and I was going to talk about this later, but I have to brag. At our fall festival, we had 452 people attend, and so that was like a huge thing for us. Student behaviors is a good thing because we only have a few that are regulars. So our staff, our office referrals are decreasing. We are fully staffed, which I'm afraid to even say because like this is a big thing for us. Our staff morale is high. Student involvement is big. Students want to come to school. They want to be there. They want to build relationships. And of course, our STEAM classroom is pretty phenomenal. So those are a few of the really great things that we have happening. Next slide. This is just a picture of inside of our school. That big bus is on the connecting hallway. That holds our bus drivers of the month from the month. So we have a staff member leading it, a para coming in the back, and then we have somebody from every grade level in each window. And then that puzzle piece is an example of what our attendance puzzle looks like. So every class set has earned 95% attendance every day. If they're there, they earn a puzzle piece. When it's completely filled out, it's a Mustang. And then there's different rewards. So the first one, that is an extra recess reward. They get a little badge from us, and then they move on to the next one. So some data from that is we have 18 out of 20 classrooms that have earned the first reward, and 4 that have earned the second puzzle already. So we're pretty proud. Next slide. So as you know, we are in year 3 of BAR, and this is kind of a different picture of it. So someone from BAR had showed me this, and it just made sense. So if you're at a level 0, you're thriving, you're green. If you think about the R-type pyramid, you are ready to go. The next level is level 1, which is a teacher level intervention. And that's when we have our small block meetings. We have those every other Tuesday. Each teacher brings one student to the meeting, whether it's somebody that they're concerned about or somebody they want to celebrate. We talk through interventions, we put interventions in place, okay? The next level is level 2, which is kind of like an orange level. Well, let me back up. Small block is only grade level teachers, and then Mrs. Pacheco and I pop in whenever we can. Big block meeting is the next level, level 2, and that's team level interventions. So we have every other week as well, opposite of small block. And we have 4 meetings happening at once, which is really great because it's our BAR coordinator, which is Mrs. Pacheco and myself. We have our social worker, our counselor, and Mrs. Pacheco, running each meeting. And teachers are on there. and one from every grade level. And there we have a discussion, like that's the next tier of the pyramid, if you think about a pyramid. Then we have our Community Connect. And our Community Connect meeting is the admin, the nurse, the counselor, and then any district partners if we need anybody, the SRO when necessary. And at that level, that's like level 3. Those are our tiers. That's like the most intensive. And so students are brought to level 3 if we need to refer them to special education or we need outside services with the community. And our social worker is a really great resource for that. And our very first year, we created this little flip chart of like resources that our families can utilize. And so anytime we have parent teacher conferences or things like that, they can use this, but then they have an upgraded version of this. And so I'll let you guys look at it, but this is so that parents always know what our resources are that we have for our families available to help meet the needs of the students. Next slide. So part of BAR is you need to create goals to help moving along in the process. And since we're in year 3, the expectations have really increased. So our first one is positive notes home to all students for Q1. So we almost have 400 students. Every student will get a postcard home to their house, which is super cool. And so we are almost there. I meant to check this morning and I didn't get down there, but we have a list of all the students' name in the meeting room. They highlight the name, they write the postcard, their secretaries, it's really slick. And we feel that that's going to build that relationship home with the families to create a good partnership. The second goal is Rhonda and I are really tracking office and behavior referrals because sometimes a few of the same referrals can seem like a big beast and really it's not. So how many people are actually being sent to the office? What are they being sent for? Where are they at when they're being sent? So we can kind of track that data. The third one, this has been a challenge to us. This is the next level that they're telling us. All new students who are enrolled in our school are to be brought to Community Connect. So Community Connect, our group meets every morning, every Thursday morning at 8:30, and we are supposed to talk about the new students. And so when the new student is enrolled, what do we know about them? What can we share? Do we have all the information we need? So forth. That is a work in progress still. We haven't gotten to where we need to be yet with that. Number 4 is increased peer connections. So we want to develop intentional activities where students build friendships across the different classrooms and grades. So remember that in our building, we do have neighborhoods in the mods. And so that's to first grade, to second, to third, to fourth. And our goal is to build stronger connections across the building. And so with this, we are implementing buddy classrooms, like peer classrooms, where every Friday they have to do an activity, big or small, with their buddy classroom, and we assign those classrooms. Next slide. So every Wednesday, there's a youth time lesson, and a youth time lesson is all about building relationships and connections with students to students, students to staff, or staff, but really not staff to staff confusion. But anyway, so we have a schedule, and every Wednesday, the entire school does a lesson during morning meeting. And it's the same lesson. K2 has a lesson, 3-4 has a lesson. And this is an example of what one lesson looks like. Sometimes they create things, sometimes they build things, sometimes it's just a conversation. So, next slide. So last year at the BAR conference, we, Mrs. Rodenbow, Ms. Lynch, Mrs. Pacheco, and myself presented at the conference. It was called Block by Block, Creating Strong Small Block and Big Block Meetings. We also have our coach there with us, Shannon. She is our coach this year. So we felt it was a really big honor to share our successes with the country in California. And our objectives for this meeting were, so kind of basically what we taught the group was identify key strategies for engaging and supporting big and small block meetings, tailoring the block meetings to diverse student needs, leveraging the data and relationships for effective block meetings, and setting clear expectations for positive student growth. And so it was really fun to do an energizer to get a whole, and the room was quite large and there was a lot of people in there. And so we did this big activity all together and got the room fired up, and then we presented it. So it was a huge honor. Next slide. So here is a glimpse into our daily classroom attendance. So last year we ended the year with 89.13% our daily attendance rate. And this year so far, we're at 92.22. So that's pretty exciting. Like we keep making small progress. The bottom part has already changed. Since people keep filling up attendance puzzles since I submitted this. But one thing that we found really interesting is if students are not being successful with attendance during Community Connect, we have meetings and our social worker works with them. And one huge success story is, we'll find it. We had one student who she was chronically absent. And we put interventions in place that if she had, let's start with 1 week of coming to school every day, she could have some kind of reward, whether she wanted to bring her puppies in or birds or whatever the case may be to show the class. And then we would up the ante every time. And so last year, her attendance was 60%. And this year so far, she has 95% attendance. And to me, Ms. Duffin has built a huge relationship with the family and with the student, and that's pretty amazing. So that is a huge success. And that's part of the what comes out of Community Connect. Next slide. Since it's the beginning of the year, if I were to just show you this year's first triangle for Ames Web, I mean, it would look kind of like that. So we're going to get a picture of like what it looked like last year. So as you can see in kindergarten, literacy is on top, numeracy is on the bottom, and we make steady growth. So, I mean, as a school, we want to make more academic growth, but we're just not there yet. So that's kindergarten. Next slide. First grade Ames. It's hard to see the bottom one. Next slide. Second grade Ames. Next slide. Third grade. And last one. Because fourth grade doesn't do Ames Web, I keep forgetting that. This is our NDA plus interim assessment. And as you can see, there is blue for fall, orange for winter, and then gray for spring. And third and fourth grade don't have the gray because that's their summative assessment, and we didn't have that data there at this time. So we do make growth, but again, we're not where we would like to be yet. I feel that with a strong title team, not pulling them to sub, instead we chose to split classrooms instead to see what interventions we have in place, how they're working, and to see if our growth can increase even more. Next slide. So being a title school, we have other obligations for family engagement nights. And since that's one of our goals as a school, we have one activity at least every quarter. And then we have a wonderful PTO that always adds in fun things. And so this is just a snap into what we have coming up. We actually do have STEAM night planned. It is in January, so it's not just indefinitely question mark, but we have a lot of great things. Families come, they enjoy it. It's a different time for them to just relax, where they play games with their kids, walk around, meet staff, conversations. So I'm hoping to break the record of 452 people in attendance. So at the next one, we'll see. Next slide. This is just a look inside of our school. We try to put a lot of things up in the hall. Our STEAM teacher, Para, she creates lots of things and she puts it up in the big long hallway. So there's always something fun in there. On the left is a project she did with the students. On the right is part of a U-Time lesson chain that they had. Next slide. This is outside of the STEAM room in the main building, just her artistic ability on the outside, and then inside is what our STEAM room looks like. So if you get a chance, it's pretty fun to see. Next slide. And as you can see, the great work of our PTO in the front of our building. And then we also have our tree and the wall. Yep, is dingy. We're just going to ignore that part, but it's a beautiful tree, and that's our family tree of our staff. We have all of our families there so kids can see that we have our family there. We're building that connection with them. Next slide. Questions for me?
Board members? Any questions?
Just have comments.
Sure.
So that's okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Cole.
Yeah, it just, great presentation. Thank you. I just taking some notes. It sounds like you guys are doing a lot of great things to increase and encourage the kids to boost up those attendance scores. And I think that's great because I know from like my perspective, my kids, like if you can fill up that puzzle piece or be a part of that success, they're going to want to come to school and be disappointed if they have to miss. So I love what you're doing there. And that's awesome. It sounds like you're building You guys have a great culture as well. You're fully staffed and the morale, like I love that. So thank you for participating in that at the beginning. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Anybody else present with anything?
Were you fully staffed from the start of the year? Day one on, or?
For teachers, yes, we were just short a few paras, but now we're fully staffed.
Anybody else present? Or anything? Mr. Burke?
Yeah, I appreciate your staff being in attendance to support the school. Also the morale and the enthusiasm was nice to get, the folks somewhere out. Social worker supporting and engaging, building relationships with the families. And then I think lastly, just the windows at the school look nice. And Mrs. Pacheco done a good job of improving the curb appeals. Well, thank you.
Mr. Marsh?
Love the same sentiment. Having been through McVeigh, I think you can feel the culture. It's really cool. You guys have made it a home. And I know that they weren't forced to be here. And so, you can see through that stuff pretty quick. And so I appreciate that. And I do like thinking you guys thought outside of the box to get kids into the schools and keep them there. And that's appreciated too. So
Thanks for letting us take them swimming. We're gonna do that again, Q4 is the best thing ever.
sounds good.
Good.
Mrs. Wheeler, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, great presentation. Sorry I'm not there. I did visit McVeigh last week and had a very great conversation with Mrs. Brenner, and my interactions with the staff, everyone was happy. The students that had stopped in the hallway to talk they were fun. It's all I got to say is they were fun. The atmosphere in that school is very light, and you can tell that everyone is very excited to be doing what it is that they're doing. And very good job. Very, very good job. Thank you for leading your school.
Thanks.
Mrs. Sluter, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just, it was a great presentation. It sounds like you have a lot of staff there. I can't see. Sorry to miss it, but yeah, thanks for sharing.
As always, thank you. We're really excited when we get to see the good that goes on in our schools and the ability to praise the staff that are putting in the work and that are showing up. And we appreciate you being here to support your building administrator. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Moving on to item number 4, communicating with the public. Sorry, bear with me. This script is always long to read. Public participation at board meetings is governed by district policy. BCBA, meetings of the board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools and therefore are not public meetings, but meetings held in public. It is a policy of this board to afford that opportunity in accordance with the following procedures and North Dakota Century Code 44-04-20.1. Only items on the published board agenda and on the previous meeting's published agenda will be discussed at any meeting of the board unless the superintendent or a board member requests an addition to the agenda of a regular meeting and the board members present approve in accordance with board policy. No individual may speak more than once. Please state your name for the record, state the agenda item you are speaking to. Comments will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per individual. Public comment will be limited to no more than 30 minutes in total. The board had adopted policies governing patron complaints. The public is required to seek redress through these policies. The public will be prevented from commenting on a topic if it is, 1, governed by a district complaint policy and the complainant has not followed the procedure contained in policy and or the policy prohibits the public from bringing the complaint before the board. 2, concerns a topic that is prohibited by law from disclosure to the public, such as a student's educational record. Undue interruption or other interference with orderly conduct of board business cannot be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. The presiding officer may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, she or he persists in improper conduct or remarks. Furthermore, any individual who is persistently disruptive of a school board meeting may be removed from that meeting by order of the presiding officer. Board members will not engage in dialogue during the public comment period. Questions may be answered by the presiding officer or an administrator at the following meeting or in writing at a later time. If you wish to provide any public comment this evening, please step forward to the podium, announce your name for the record, as well as the agenda items you are speaking on this evening. Do we have any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 5, informational report to the board for a Target League presentation. That is a script to read.
I'll have you read my shirt first.
Your turn.
What a start. So, way.
So, we know what my presentation is about a little bit. I just want to thank Dr. Germanson and the school board for giving me a few minutes of time to share a little bit about a league that is Williston High School Coyotes Play Target League. And a little history about our league. I know we've got all new board members and everything. So when this began, you guys weren't around, I don't think. Mr. Germanson was. But I'm a retired, did I say my name? Penny Slagle, sorry. I'm a retired teacher of over 30 years of education in Williston Public School District. I retired in 2018. And in January of that year, I presented to the board the possibility of starting a USA Clay Target League, which is a shooting league across the United States. We began, the board approved it. We began our league shooting at the trap range by the municipal golf course in the spring of 2018. We are governed by the USA Clay Target League rules. We go by all their rules and regulations. We are a part of Williston Public School District through eligibility and code of conduct and that type of thing. We have 2 seasons. We have a spring season, we have a fall season. Spring is the main one. That's when we have a state tournament in June and the national tournament in July at Mason, Michigan. And we do attend both of those tournaments. We take approximately 30 athletes, 30 to 34 athletes to the state tournament and probably approximately 12 to the national tournament. In the past, that's what we've done. In the spring of 2018, when we started our league, it was grades 9 through 12, and we had 32 athletes sign up, boys and girls, in grades 9 through 12. You can have grades 6 through 12, but we didn't really know what we were doing. And so we didn't want to jump in totally. So we just went grades 9 through 12. So in the fall of 18, we went from 32 to 55 with grades 9 through 12. In the next spring, we had 68 athletes. The next fall, we had 86 athletes, and we added grade 7 through 12. Then in the spring of 2020, the city told us we had to move our location. We had 2 trap houses up at the municipal golf course, and our clubhouse was the old Twin Lake School that was moved in 1983. I don't know if I should say this or not, but there was still power hooked up to the building. And I don't think we should have even been in that building, but we operated out of there for about 4 seasons. And it barely held us together, but it was a roof over our heads to do our paperwork and everything out of. We had to move out to Painted Woods Sporting Range. Mike Palmer gave us some land or leased us some land. There was no trap range on that, so we had to build our own trap range. We shot for 4 seasons. We set the thrower on the ground and we shot off of pavers for the first 4 seasons when we were out there until we could build our new trap range. So at this time, we had 131 athletes shooting the 3 disciplines of trap, sporting clays, and 5 stand. And then we also added grade 6 to that. So we felt we were getting a little bit more under control. Each season we continued to grow. And all the time we were working on a new range that was being built to fit the needs of our growth. We needed more trap houses. We needed a bigger clubhouse and that type of a thing. So we started our construction. in 2022. In the spring of 24, we had the highest number of athletes shooting our 3 disciplines at 220. This fall, we have 165. We're now shooting all 4 disciplines that the USA Clay Target League offers, which is 5-stand, trap, sporting clays, and skeet. Last spring, we just finished our new skeet range, which we built 4 skeet trap combo fields at Peanut Woods. So this recognition and that type of thing that we have built for ourselves has given us the largest league in the nation by shooting all 4 of those, which I believe that I think we still hold that. Like I said, we've got boys and girls in grades 6 through 12. Prerequisite is hunter education, so they have to be certified. When these athletes go out to shoot, there's 5 athletes in each squad. There is a coach with each 5 athletes. So wherever these kids go with their guns, they're supervised by 1 coach, and there's 5 to 1. We shoot in the spring and the fall, 6 to 8 weeks. It depends upon the weather, see how many practices we can get in. I know the mission of the Clay Target League is safety, marksmanship, and fun. We are an adaptive program. We've had athletes with cerebral palsy. We've had them in wheelchairs. We've had ADHD kids. We have had autistic kids who have even lettered for us. So we're very proud of that. We include a lot of kids who aren't in any other activity. They're not in any other sport. You don't need to be an athlete to shoot. You don't need to run. You don't need to jump. You don't need to throw. You just gotta have a good eye and focus, I guess, is what you need. But we're very proud of the number of kids that we attract that aren't in any other activity to get them out and about and involved with other students and off the couch type of a thing. We also have students from Trenton, Alexander, Ray, Walker City, and Crane, Montana that come up and shoot with us every week. Each year we attend the state tournament, and this year was the year of the trifecta. And that's why we got the shirts made. We're very proud of that. We placed first in trap this year. We beat South Prairie, who is a powerhouse. They've won state, I think, every year. We beat them by 1 play. And so that was very satisfying for our athletes. We placed first in skeet. Now, this is the first year that our kids have ever shot skeet. And we had approximately 25 kids that shot skeet for the first season, and we ended up taking state first place in skeet. We also placed first in 5-stand, the 5-stand competition. We placed first in that. So, you know, we're just very proud of that. We talk about the accomplishments of Williston High School athletes and that type of a thing. And sometimes we forget we are a club, basically a club sport. We're a 501c3. So we don't, you know, we're not at the high school or anything. All of our functions take place out at Peanut Woods. Our trifecta, just to name a few of the kids, these kids were on all 3 of the state championship teams, and they were Jackson Rydberg, Cale Jones, Jacqueline Hank, Haley Johnson, Ad Lorraine, Bronco Martinez, Carter Rufai, Jace Moe, and Tayson Hendrickson. And I'm sure some of you recognize some of these names. They've been very successful as a team, and they've brought a great deal of recognition to Williston High School Coyotes through the state and through national recognition to our public school. I would like to invite the board out to watch us shoot at some time. We have a beautiful facility out there. Last year, we just moved into our brand new 40 by 120 foot clubhouse. It's the nicest one in the state. And I'm not saying that because it's ours, but I believe it is. And we are putting in for the state tournament. Hopefully we can sponsor and host the state tournament for Sporting Clays 5-stand and skeet in the near future. We put in the bid for that. So we're hoping to get that, but I'd like to invite you guys out. If you ever wanted to hold your meeting at our facility, we would be very happy to host you for your board meeting at our clubhouse. So very proud of our kids, very proud of the success of the team. These kids put in a lot of time and it's not an easy task if you've ever shot, you know, at a clay pigeon, but, any questions?
Board members, any questions? Comments? Mr. Bush?
Just good job. I've obviously worked together a little bit on this, and I think anything we can do to involve students in extracurriculars is a great thing. The numbers speak for themselves. And you'd be hard sought to find another coach, program leader out there that advocates more for their program than you do. I know that with the grants and everything you've applied for. So that's a great job, Penny, and we're here to support you any way we can.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ms. Cole?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing everything. I wasn't familiar with your program. I should be, so I apologize for not being as informed as I should be. So you have a lot of great things going on. It sounds that's awesome, being the largest league in the nation now. You've grown your program to be something of what it is today, which is not easy. So congratulations for that. And I love the fact that any kid can do this, or anybody can do this. No running, no throwing. I mean, I'd like to give it a try if I could. But no, I love that. So thank you for sharing. And I hope that my kids would want to do something like that when they're of age.
Who all helps you with this? I mean, I know you could handle 100 kids, but 200 kids is kind of a lot.
How do we handle it?
Who else helps you?
Oh, we have a board. We have a 10-member board. And so we've got the people on our board are passionate about this. They all have children that have shot or currently shoot on our league and stuff like that. So we've got a very supportive group of people that work out there. Coaches, we have probably 25 people that help us coach, that go out with the kids. We shoot Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is when we shoot. But you know, our board members are all local people. Steve, do you want me to name them in case I forget some people? Okay, but we do have a very, very strong board. With this many kids and try to get them all in the right place at the right time and run a very productive league. We have a very strong board, and I certainly did not do this all alone. Wayne Kittleson was the man that I approached many years ago. He was with the Northwest Gun Club. So I got to give him credit. He helped me. I went up and asked him if he would help me out, and he said yes. And so he kind of got me pointed in the right direction with the range and stuff like that. But the people are passionate. I've got such a good group behind me and we work together as a team. So.
No, I appreciate your passion. Just giving the kids another opportunity to be involved and stay busy.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sluter, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just appreciate the presentation, and it sounds like it's a really great program. Thanks.
Mrs. Wheeler, anything you'd like to add?
I remember when the Clay Target Lead was pitched to the board so many years ago, and look where you guys are now. I am extremely happy, and thank you very much for the presentation.
Mrs. Slagle, your passion for what you do, it has grown something amazing. And I know many of the kids that do shoot for you, and you create within them a passion, not only for this, but the community as well. So thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to B, the Special Education Legislative Committee.
President Swant, Superintendent Germanson, members of the WPSD 7 board. My name is Sean Huss. I'm the Special Education Director. I just have to take a minute. It'll be a short minute, but and comment on the two previous presentations. I went to McVeigh 1st grade through 6th grade. So it's always fun to hear what's going on in McVeigh, and congratulations on your progress and success. Also to Coach Slagle. I've known Coach Slagle probably, well, it's been a long time. Yeah, mostly through basketball. And you can't you just won't ever find another dedicated person as Coach Slagle. And I love to hear, I wish that program existed when we were in high school. It's great to hear that success. So I was asked to speak to you tonight about the North Dakota Legislative Study Council that's studying special education funding. I don't have a lot to tell you tonight because we've only had one meeting, and that first meeting was more of like a history kind of lesson on where we started and kind of where we're at currently. Anytime if you've ever kind of watched legislative study councils, they try to cram a lot of stuff into one study. And that's kind of what happened with this, although they are all related. So there are three main items that we're looking at in the study council: reading and math proficiency in the state for students with disabilities, recruitment and retention of special education teachers, and then finally the special education funding model. So you're going to see me sway back and forth a little bit. I'm still having some back issues. All three of these areas are big areas. They're nuanced areas, but they're also kind of interrelated and kind of locked all together. So it's going to be an interesting study as we progress through it. The other interesting thing with these legislative studies is that you get 5 meetings. And so there's a lot to do in 5 meetings. So when we do meet, it's usually for a full day. And I can tell you that of the 3 areas, each area will get 1 day of study, and then we'll have 1 extra day. And you can always go back and request additional days. But I know that the expectation and the hope is that we get as much accomplished in those 5 meetings as possible. So I'm always looking for feedback from everybody just in terms of what we're really looking at and where we're going with it. I'm going to go in the order that we did that day, just in terms of agenda. The first area that we talked about was reading and math proficiency. And so we're kind of, and they're really looking at students with disabilities. Why are we performing less than what maybe we performed back in the early 2000s? One of the things that was brought up was that in 2012, we moved from paper pencil to computer generated. And so at that time when we were on paper pencil, I think it was a 50% proficiency rate. Now today we're like at a 12% proficiency rate. So it's a significant drop. But one of the issues with that drop was that the test has changed significantly over time. So it's changed, I believe it's changed at least 3 times, if not 4. And so it's hard to do longitudinal studies when your test is changing, every couple of years. So we are really kind of taking a look at that. One of the bigger things that we're going to look at is, and I heard this a lot through the study or through that day, is that looking at other like states. And when they said like states, I'm assuming they meant political states. So are we going to look at other red states and compare ourselves to those states and see if their models look differently than our models, and what maybe we can adopt, or are we doing everything that we can be doing in these 3 areas? And then they're looking at just actionable initiatives that we can maybe recommend to the legislature and move forward. Recruitment and retention is the second one. This is it's kind of a hot topic. You probably noticed some of it happening last spring as negotiations were happening. Things that are being considered as special education teacher workload, caseload numbers, student and staff safety, training, lack of training in some cases, de-escalation techniques, uncompensated time for planning and implementing behavior intervention plans, lack of adequate space. Then we look at special education paraprofessionals, what expectations are there for teachers to train the paraprofessionals. is there adequate time to train paraprofessionals? And then, of course, one of the hot ones is special education paperwork. What's required? Do they have adequate time based on caseload size versus, time to paperwork, manage the students, write the IEPs, do the progress notes, and whatnot. So, I got a percentage of people leaving the profession, and they were at 44%. Within the Williston School District, I think we've done an okay job of retaining staff. We've done an okay job of recruiting staff. We utilize what we call the para-to-teacher program. That's been very successful as paraprofessionals have worked within the district. We actually have a cohort going through a program right now to become what we call special education technicians. That gives them another level of training, and it also puts them on the path to be a special education teacher if they choose to do so. And then finally, the special education funding study. This is really nuanced and it's different from state to state. The states really get to decide how they're going to allocate funds to special education. North Dakota uses what we call a census model. So basically there's a factor and a percentage that goes on the foundation payment, and they don't look at special education numbers in the state. They look at just total enrollment. So our census total enrollment, you get a percentage of money that is directed towards special education funding. Other states use other programs. I think as I've done a little bit of research, it looks to me like there's 5 or 6 models of special education state funding. Census is one of the popular ones. Weighted factors is a second one. And the little bit of research I've done, I'm not making any kind of prejudgments or developing any opinions at this point, but it looks to me like the weighted factor of needs of special education is really kind of the most popular and probably most equitable model to be using. So we are going to be talking about that. Some of the most successful models in the country. I don't want to get political. I don't mean to get political at all in saying this, but some of the most successful models that I've seen in the country are Democratic states. They're not necessarily Republican states. So when they say looking at like states, it might be a little bit of a challenge for us to be looking at similar states when a lot of the success is seems to be in Democratic states. North Dakota does fall relatively high. I think we're considered 17th or 18th in the country in terms of funding. North Dakota is very much commended for how they allocate their federal funds. So we have federal money that's attached to special education. North Dakota really does a phenomenal job of allocating and distributing that federal money out to school districts. They keep very little for themselves and get it all out to where it best serves the students. State funding is a little bit different, and they're a little more, maybe they're not necessarily criticized for it, but they're not considered leaders in the country as far as state funding goes. They're more in the kind of that middle of the country range. So all interesting information. Some things I knew, some things I'm just learning. We are going to go out. We're going to start looking. We'll have people coming in as experts presenting. And it'll be an interesting ride over the next 10, 11 months. So if you do have questions, please feel free to let me know. And I can come back. We have another meeting in November. I'll have more information for you in November. I think I said this, but the meeting in November is specifically related to the funding model. So we're taking that one first, and then we'll see which one comes second. I'm assuming the recruitment one will come second. The reading and math will come third, and then we'll see where we're at. But more than happy to come present. As I have more information, I probably will provide a PowerPoint for you. If anybody is interested, I do have handouts. I didn't bring them with me. I'll have to email them to you. It's probably 100-page in handouts of just history of these three topics that we've talked about of history in North Dakota. So please let me know. I can certainly distribute them out to whoever wants them. So any questions?
Board members, any questions? Dr. Johnson?
I just want to thank Sean. It's always awesome when we can get a local person, local rep in a statewide legislative group. So thanks for being part of that, because obviously then we get to kind of know what's going on.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Board members? Mrs. Wheeler?
Thank you, Mr. Huss, for doing the presentation. I knew that you were a part of this committee, and I think that you are an excellent selection for this committee to help with all the kids across North Dakota. And then in turn, you being local, like Dr. Germanson said, we're going to get some great information. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sluter?
No comments. Thank you.
Mr. Huss, thank you as always. If you could get your hand out to Dr. Germanson so that we can get
Absolutely.
it into a weekly update for the board members to look at. That'd be great. Thank you very much. We appreciate your work.
Have a nice evening, guys.
You too. Moving on to item C, human resource retention presentation.
Good evening, school board, Dr. Shermanson. I'm Judy Billyhus. I am the Human Resource Director for the school district. I'm Amanda Donovan, the Assistant HR Director for the district. So we're going to give you an overview of the things that have been happening in the school district as far as strengthening our recruiting and retention efforts. Can you go to the next slide? So the first one is the district by the numbers. Just so everyone is aware, the school district is the largest employer in Williams County. So approximately, based on our September numbers, we have about 990 employees, broken out 410 certified. Those are our teachers, administrators, and 387 classified. So that's our paras, nurses, custodians. Next slide. So why does retention matter? Matters for several reasons. But I'm just pulling out, you can obviously read, but I'm pulling out the things that are very meaningful. It's good for the kids when we know we have the same para going into the same classroom day after day. We need that consistency, relationship building. It's linked to academic progress. And we also get that emotional stability, again, for those kids. And we all know it's super expensive when we have to train yet new employees to come in to backfill. And retention saves money, actually, because if we have that extra money, we can put it in PD and back into the classrooms where it matters. And then bigger than anything too, because it is such a we are always under the microscope of the public, but it does instill trust in the community. So it's a good optics for our public. Next slide. So as far as compensation progress, we're really proud of all of this. So we did a study, a compensation study in 2023. And so we placed all of our classified people on a new step and lane, but just at the end of 2024-25, we moved everyone that was in lanes 3, 4, and 5 to 4, 5, and 6 horizontally. And then, of course, everybody moved vertically because it was a new year. So that was really fun because as individuals were getting their intent to rehires, they're like, hey, wow, I'm making more money. It was really rewarding. But we do have a goal, and this was based on the wage study. We want to get at least everybody started at $21 an hour because that's the living wage. But we're also pretty pleased because the 25-26 classified individuals did receive the 3.18% which is consistent with what the teachers receive. So that was important. Next slide. Enhancing our benefits. Here's some more things that keep happening behind the scenes. And again, super proud of. We now have the short-term disability and long-term disability as benefits for all of our employees that are completely funded by the district. And as a result of this huge, big benefit, we've revamped our sick bank program. So now it is a family sick bank program. So if an individual has a sick family member, they can apply to be at home to care for their family member and get some kind of compensation through our program that we've created. And of course, we still have our employee assistance program. We have great retirement program. Our teachers get the TFFR, our classifies, our ND-PERS, and the district funds both sides. Another neat thing that we just rolled out last week that's not up here. So we now have a benefits specialist, Maria Silva. And she works very closely with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield is our benefits broker. So one of the things that she just got started last week for us, Blue Cross Blue Shield now will go to the schools to meet with new employees to do their benefit onboarding, which will free up Maria, but also they will have a better experience. This is just their benefit onboarding, but they'll have a better experience as a new employee coming to the school district. And that's one thing they don't have to worry about. Their benefits will be taken care of. And again, it's a huge retention issue.
Next slide. Retention rates, we are monitoring resignation rates. We're still working on ideal ways to track our retention rates. But some things to note is certified turnover since we started tracking in the 23-24 school year has been pretty consistent. This last 24-25 school year, it was approximately 13.27%. We recognize that's higher than we want, but it is stable compared to the previous years. And then at the end of the 24-25 school year, when we gave out our intent to rehires to all of our classified staff, 94.9% of them returned those, which was huge. I mean, that was huge for us. Next slide. Staff voices, that is really, really key to retention and recruitment. We need to know how the staff feels so that we know the areas that we need to improve to help with retention and recruitment. We partnered with Vital Network. You guys are aware of that. They provide surveys throughout the year to our teachers and our paras. New this year, principals have their own survey as well that they got to do. We just finished the fall survey. The response rate was 93% for our teachers and paras and 100% for our principals. So that's really great results. The surveys are anonymous, so our staff should feel comfortable. This is a couple years now we've been doing this, so I think they feel pretty comfortable now using this platform to be able to voice their opinions and concerns. And our feedback is reviewed not only by building teams, but also by district teams so that we can try to find those consistent areas that we need to work on and start making plans on where we can take this information. Next slide.
So looking ahead, again, one of the things we're trying to strive for is to at least get all of our classified at a $21 starting wage. And we will continue to refine and enhance wellness and family support programs and maintain that open communication. So our goal is that we will be the employer of choice in Western North Dakota. And in the words of Dr. Germanson, things are good.
Board members, any questions? Mr. Bear.
Staff participation or the teacher participation's at 93%. How does that compare to past years?
It's up. I don't know off the top of my head, but it is up compared to previous years.
So I know trust was an issue in the past, so I mean, hopefully it's improving.
Yeah, I think so. I think that that's evident in their response rate this
So
year.
I appreciate your efforts to set that $21 an hour goal. Just knowing that we've lost a lot of good staff to higher paying jobs.
Yes. Yes.
If I can just say something, that we've had to beg people to do the survey before, so saying, right, we would get emails from Vital said, hey, you haven't met the minimum yet, so the fact that we're at those numbers
Yeah.
says a lot.
Actually, this year, I think, was the first survey that we didn't get an email from our Vital people saying, hey, this school. Okay, there was one school, but that was a separate issue. But we didn't get that email saying, yeah, survey closes tomorrow, you know, 2 of your schools don't have any participation. So that was really good this year. Yeah.
Fill it out.
Yeah.
What's the starting pay at now? The stock price?
It depends. It's around 18 something an hour. Depends on what position they're in.
Mrs. Wheeler?
So how long do you think it's gonna take to get all of the staff up to that $21 a few years?
It'll probably take a couple years. A lot's gonna depend on the budget and what we can do.
I'm piggybacking off of the previous question, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
As
Thank
soon as we can, but yeah, I mean, it's just gonna depend.
all right, very good.
Mrs. Sluter?
Well, I think everything was covered. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We appreciate getting to hear from other individuals from the district that are handling some pretty heavy items that keep employees in as well. So thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Moving on to item D, slow and hiring process. Right. Slow.
All right, I talked a couple weeks ago about this and we are underway. We actually just had a meeting. Just right before this meeting, we had a meeting at 3:30. That was our 4th meeting that we have had. That was what Judy and Amanda said, we have about 410 teachers, administrators, and this involves about 300. So it's about a 300-piece puzzle. We have a bunch of teachers in here. We basically gave everybody one free move. We gave them the opportunity to move. Say you are a 3rd grade teacher at Rickard and you've always wanted to teach kindergarten, and when you got in, there wasn't a spot for that. So we opened it up and everybody got one kind of free move. Before I forget, you know, we're dealing with 2 moves. We're dealing with all the 5th grade teachers moving back into the elementaries, and then we're talking about moving to a new school and filling a new school. So, what's been great is that committee. You've heard that term group think when you get a group of people together. As I said today in their group, I said, well, no, none of us have done this before. None of us have opened a new school. None of us have tried to get 300 people into different positions and recruit people and move people. So this is all new to us. And so the group today, the key is collaboration. We'd come up with some ideas, some other people threw out some ideas, and it's working well. And so where we're at actually right now, if you move down to the timelines, we're actually sticking on those timelines. We are going for our 2nd round. We went through the 1st round. Everybody got this orange piece of paper, with all the openings on the back, and you got 3 options. We met today, we moved some people. Now, next Monday, we're going with our whole 2nd round of openings and movements. Trying to give the teachers, we always heard from when there was previous moves, the voice and the choice, right? You know, we've talked about at some point, there might have to be some placements, but this is our 2nd round of voice and choice. You are getting the opportunity. You've got 2 chances now to pick where you would like to be at. We're trying to fulfill those. So next week, we're going to do round number 2. We talked about 3 rounds. I mean, we just don't. This is dealing with the teachers. We've had talking about classified staff. We obviously have the paras wondering when they're going to move, and special ed teachers with their caseloads and things. And so we're just kind of taking the teachers first and working with that. I think we're doing well in our group. I'm looking at Amanda and Judy who are in there, and Kevin and Darla, this group of teachers. Tanya was in there, all the principals. And so, yeah, it's a very collaborative process and bring up some good questions and have to come up with some answers. And so it's been good. So, when it talks about the key decisions and responsibilities, right? Ensure fair distribution of staff. Talk about that, talking about some of the schools obviously are losing sections. We're from 4 sections to 3 sections, 3 sections to 2 sections, that kind of thing. So some of the buildings are having to give up people and working together with Susan, our new principal, to make sure that she just doesn't get people that are gonna, last choice kind of thing. And so it's been good. And so like I said, it's quite a process. There's a lot of moving parts, but I think we're on the right track. So.
Board members, any questions?
Their goal to have the
Well,
fully staffed,
so
teachers coming in, teaching the option for school place, but
yeah, so right here, goal completed by winter break. I said we're on round 2 here next week. We'll see. The sooner the better, right? We know the certified, the pairs, they want to know where am I gonna be at next year, right? Nobody wants to be up in there. What am I gonna be doing? What school am I gonna be at? So as soon as we can let them know, yes, it's just this huge process. So as soon as possible, our end goal would be by Christmas. Everybody knows where they're going. And so we start the new year and just get ready to move forward.
How does the screening process take place? Is just anyone that voices that they want to transfer, they get it? Or
So the process begins with this piece of paper we filled out, so we had them sign, understanding what was going on. Then we met, we divvied out, and what your first choice was, that principal. So if I wanted to go to Rickard, I would have to interview with Mr. Fleck. And Mr. Fleck, as the building principal, he gets to decide whether I go or if I stay. If I was accepted, then you got into the second choice, third choice, and those kinds of things, which we haven't reached yet. It's always the building principal's decision because they obviously know their culture. And that was the one thing that we wanted to make sure when we did this, that those schools like Mr. Brenner, like McVeigh, they're losing a section, that we wouldn't take her rock stars or the people that are key for her culture, right? We don't want to destroy schools and building a school. That was kind of the guidelines, and we want to make sure that Mrs. Prady, our Slolan principal, gets to build a new school, but not wreck the other 8 elementary schools with their culture. So we're not going to steal this person is my rock. This person is the culture bearer of my school. Well, we're not going to take that person. So we're very aware of that to make sure that we're creating a new culture, but we're not destroying anybody else's culture.
I appreciate the collaborative approach and then keeping in mind that we are also building a district culture.
Yes.
As well.
Yep. And that's been great to see in this group that there was some problems and we're working through them collaboratively. And getting the principals, as they say, it used to all be about the high school. That's all it was about. High school. People laugh because they're like, yeah, you used to think like that. That's what we pay our principals to do, is worry about their school. And now trying to get everybody to say, you're right, we need to work together. So it's been good to see that.
So,
Yeah, I guess kind of piggybacking off of Joe, I guess my question was just overall, what do you feel like the feedback is from the staff, the teachers? Are they?
The 3 teachers and the head of WIA's on our committee. And they said it's been great for the voice and choice. That we're listening and we're trying to, and they realize that at some point there would be, there will have to be some hard decisions, but that there has been communication and they've got to interview, talk to principals. So yeah, it's been positive.
Thank you. Thanks for that, putting that together. It's nice to see the timeline and everything.
Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, I also just want to say the transparency is really important too. I've seen some stuff in the community and I think it's so important that we walk with the community and transparent as we go through this process. Again, establishing that district culture, this is a great opportunity to gain some trust.
Yeah.
I think this approach is going to accomplish that. Thank you.
Ms. Sluter?
Yeah, piggybacking off of Brittany, I was gonna ask what the morale was of the meeting today. How are people feeling about the process so far?
Good. I mean, the people that haven't been picked up yet, right? I always say it's like being on a playground and you're picked last for a kickball game, right? I mean, you wanna get picked.
Yeah,
So just telling people, hey, all right, we're going on the second round now. Hang
right.
on. Now we're on the second round. So if you haven't been picked up, here we go again.
No, I love how you keep highlighting collaboration and this timeline is here, you know, with solid dates and goals. And I just think it helps keep that morale up. Obviously there's going to be uncertainty and we just can't help it. And like you said, we've
Right,
never
yep.
done this before. And I love that you recognize that.
Yep,
So,
yep.
yeah.
Mrs. Wheeler?
Nope, I think everybody's covered everything. Thanks.
I would just like to say, going into my biweekly meetings with Dr. Germanson, I see his whiteboard and the amount of stuff that is being thrown on that, and it involves the educators and everybody that's here that matters. And so I think it's extremely important. One thing I would recommend that we look to as a district is there's, with the potential of the movement of 300 individuals and teachers and paras, that these are some classrooms that are extremely well established with items that they have in these classrooms. And I think as a district leadership team, we should be looking at ways to ease that stress of those staff members, whether it be helping put some investment into new materials for their new classrooms, and or making sure that they're helped move for some of those that can't and need it. So I think we really need to highlight that too as well.
Just FYI, so Chris Burwood, our maintenance director, him and I have already talked. With all the potential moves, we started talking about, well, what are we looking at this summer? And there's not gonna be any painting projects, there's gonna be helping move teachers, right? So no projects, we're gonna mow and we're gonna move. So,
Thank you very much.
yep.
Moving on to our monthly financial report.
Good evening, everyone. So this is, I guess, kind of my first official finance report since the start of the year and the adoption of the budget and trying to throw the picture out where we're at so far. First off, before I get started on this, I do want to mention with the audit that it's like the superintendent and I were talking that it's, how did you say it? That
You almost feel like you're making this up, Mike.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that they can't get to us again.
it's still working on it. But one thing too that we got to realize with our auditors is they do work for the state. So they get pulled into other areas of the state and other or departments within the state. So but they are assuring me that they are working on it and we are getting closer. One of the big pieces that we were waiting for, we had to give them information on our retirement, but then they have to verify it with the retirement department at the state, and they were having trouble hold the people there to go through the numbers and verify. So we've got that part done. And then two, we still are supposed to be here next month to do our 24-25 audit. So we'll see if we get our 22 through 24 audit done before we start the 24-25. So we may be juggling a few of them as we go. So if we can scroll down through the cover pages and get to the first page, page 3. So a lot of you are new on here, just to kind of explain how these finance reports work. So as you remember with our budget, we basically adopted, based on our revenues, what our expenditures are. So in here, I do detail out the different revenue levels, but you'll see when I get to the expenditures that I just basically have them in about 4 or 5 buckets because there are so many expenditure counts. But with the revenue, we break them out into local, state, county, and federal. And these are going to fluctuate throughout the year. So property taxes, so it ebbs and flows. So at the beginning of the year, like in July and August, we're not going to get too much. So like in September, I think we had 80-some thousand in county tax revenue. We just got our notice Friday, or I think it was Friday. Like for October, we're gonna have 514,000. So there's a big difference from month to month. But then when we get into December and January, when everybody's paying their tax bills, we'll see, maybe $1 million or two at the, each month. So that part kind of fluctuates. With the state side, with the per pupil aid, they have a schedule for each month that how much we get. So that should stay pretty consistent. There's some other pieces in there, like the vocational piece and stuff that have different payments throughout the year. County oil and gas revenues, so those vary from month to month depending on what the production was, and usually that's a couple months behind of what the production is. So like in September, we were actually paid for July's production. And then on the federal, that's where a lot of our grants are at, so the title. And those are all based on when we request reimbursement. One thing, and one of my big goals this last year with the federal was we were so far behind on requesting reimbursements. But I've got a gal in my office specifically designated to submitting claims for the federal grants. And so we've set a goal that by, I think it's like at least by the 15th of the month, we want the claims submitted for the prior month, so that we're not hanging out there because we've already spent the money. Now we want to get it in and reimburse ourselves, so we don't run into what we have in years past where we spent the grant money at the tune of, a few $1 million, but never got the reimbursement in within the fiscal year. So we had that deficit. So for these first couple months, we've been staying on pretty well task there of getting things reimbursed. The other part that it helps is it keeps our grants department in tow, that they make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. Because in years past, it's always been, well, it's been coded wrong, so we got to redo it and all of this stuff. So we're staying on top of all that. So it's hardly any changes, because our auditors don't like us to be doing a bunch of journal entries and things like that. So with the revenues, like the 15.6% shows there, that's where we're at as far as of the budget, what we've brought in. And then if we scroll to 2 more pages, because the next one just has totals on it again. So 1 more page. And so this one is a combination. So it's got the summary of the revenues, but then you can see on the expenses, we've got instructional salaries, benefits, non-instructional salaries, benefits. And this one is missing one of my subheadings. Oh, down below, if you can scroll up just a little bit. So operation, or down, excuse me. So I've got it broke down into payroll and operational. So we've got instructional, non-instructional. So the non-instructional would be the admins and stuff. The operational expenses. So we've got the instructional support, and instructional non-salary, general administration, operations, maintenance. So it's just kind of to summarize where we're at. So we've got total expenditures for the month and year to date. And then the very bottom line then shows where we're at. So basically, we've spent about 900,000 more than what we brought in. But again, that's with the timing of the grants. But then too, it's depending on where we're at as far as tax collections and state revenues. So overall, throughout the year, all of that will catch up. And if we had to do kind of a picture or a graph, especially with tax revenue, and that's why our fund balance and reserves are so important. is so that we can operate from July to, November, December, when taxes actually start coming in. So we'll see, it's not an alarm to see that, we've spent more than we've brought in at this point in the year. It's when we get now to March, April, May, that we want to kind of start seeing that level out, so. Any questions on these?
Board members, any questions?
So then if we scroll down.
Real quick, Mrs. Wheeler? Oh, sorry.
No, I do not have any questions.
Annette?
No, I don't. Thank you.
You.
The last couple of pages of the report are just kind of our bank reconciliation. So go one more page. This page just kind of shows you where our cash is with the bank and then where our cash and investments are as far as our books are concerned. And then the last page is just a summary of where our investments are. And you'll probably notice that, our investment balance is decreasing because we've done quite a bit of construction on Slolan. So we've been paying, close to 5 million a month on that construction. So the biggest piece of our investments was the sale of the bonds to build Slolan. So those are going to continue to drop. One thing too, if you went back and looked at reports from a year ago, you'd see interest rates have significantly dropped too. So that's been, we don't budget for the interest, or we do a little bit knowing that we're going to get more, but it's going to have to start shrinking in the next few years unless interest rates change again. But so questions?
Board members, any additional questions?
We've asked this before, I think, just remind me, as far as the audit goes, when can we go back to a private firm?
So we get like the one that we're working on now and get 24, 25 done. So like next spring, we can go out for an RFP to see if we can entice, any other CPAs or audit firms to come in and do it. So that's what we ran into last year when we tried, is that they didn't want to touch it until we were.
Yeah, I think we'll have better space.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 6. Monitoring school district operations.
All right, Paul and I are gonna do this in tandem. I'm just going to say we're looking first at R13 boundary line development monitoring report. Summary of this report and my interpretation is obviously new having the boundaries. And so I'm going to say that I'm in compliance, and I will turn this over to Paula.
All right, we have the report in front of you and just going to go through our presentation. Some of it we're going to go through a little quickly, primarily because we did review this information in the spring, in April, when the boundaries for the map was finalized. And also some of the information in this, Dr. Jermison just reviewed regarding staffing, but it all fits under here. So we have it in one package. So the boundary setting process, phase 2, the goal not only to provide this annual report, and this would be enrollment, resource allocation, and community feedback. And then additionally, the impact would be monitored, reported annually after this. So that is what this result 13 is. You can go to the next slide, please. And if you've seen this before, the boundary setting process was a very collaborative effort. And there's 4 key stakeholders, each representing the different piece of the puzzle. So we had the RSP and associates, district administration, the community, and then the school board. The community providing all that valuable feedback, and we'll go through the ways in which that happened here in coming slides, through surveys, meetings, and just submitting emails, all of those types of things for the proposed boundaries and meeting the local needs. And then the district administration facilitated that communication between all the parties and offering insights into the district operations and requirements. And then RSP and Associates collecting and analyzing that data, looking at what they already do compared to other schools, other places, what they know about those demographics, as well as incorporating all that community feedback and making modifications as needed, and the district administration feedback. And then ultimately the school board reviewing that final proposal, considering all the input and made the ultimate decision on the boundary approval. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Next slide. I am not going to go into all of these, but we do know this was part of the hard part when people are filling out surveys is we're wanting to get their input on the boundary concept and all the things to consider, which is a lot. So these outline the 9 considerations, and this information, which I'll talk about, is all available on our website at all times for people to go to. And then we reviewed this in April. So the next slide will show the boundary draft, the concept draft evolution. About this time last year, the first map came out, map number 1, and along with it, then the survey and community meeting. And then based on the feedback to that, they made some pretty significant modifications, came out with a draft 2, and that came out early in the year. And then based on feedback on that, then there was draft 3, which was the final draft. So next slide shows a little bit of the timeline of community feedback with each of these. Before we had a draft that came out, there was a community meeting in August of 24, and we did gather inputs at that meeting as well. And then came out with the October RSP was actually here in person, went over the draft, started that first survey community meeting. And after the second draft came out, we began having community meetings where every elementary school had a community meeting. We also put out a survey to say, what's the best time to the staff and parents to try and find the ideal time to meet at those schools. So RSP did some presenting in that as well. We had a couple of the community meetings before we already got enough feedback to know we need to change this map. There are some major things that didn't like about map 2, so they went ahead and changed that so we could put it back out, had the rest of the community meetings and survey number 3, and that's what led to the final steps. Next slide. In April 7th, the survey results were presented. The board approved the boundary map number 3. And April 9th, the boundary map was communicated to all stakeholders. So that gave us a chance to make sure everything was updated correctly on our website and all of that. And they rolled out, and we put out on the website, the interactive address locator available on the website on the 14th of April, so that people could actually put in the residential address where they lived or what they were looking at and show which school they will be going to. And then as far as utilizing that, in August, kindergarten placement was guided by the new map, particularly for those new kindergartners that, well, they're all new, I guess, but don't have any siblings in elementary school. Otherwise, they were trying to keep families not going to different elementary schools. So I'm trying to place them where they would be when Slolan comes online, or if they were in Slolan, to place the closest elementary school to their residents that had availability. And then now in October, we had promised in April that we would get back to the community as far as transition details and get those determined, because we really had to take a look at the data, the information of the question about grandfathering was asked in some of those surveys, and people were wondering, if my kid's already going here, can they stay going here? And looking at all the moving parts and the data that go with that to say, is that possible? Could we ensure that we keep the right numbers at all of our schools? So the decision has been made on that, that grandfathering will be limited to those with an IEP or medical need related to staying in that building. So that doesn't necessarily mean if you're on an IEP, you stay in your building, but if it's a need that's written into your plan, an IEP or a 504, then that will be the only time we'll see grandfathering. Whatever you want to call that term, but that's what we call it in the survey. So we'll follow up with that. And next slide, please. All of this information, including the interactive map, we have the FAQ, the process, the fun little podcast we did, and all of the surveys and the responses to that can all be found on the Boundaries webpage. Right at the top, when you go there, it brings you into the interactive map and helping you find that. We do have that going through our banner at the top of our page so that people can find it more readily. We didn't want to put it out there too hot and heavy in April and May. We were a little concerned about people being confused, that this is your map of where you're going in this fall of 25-26. And so we didn't push it as hard other than make it available. And now we feel like that confusion should be over that. Because, you know, all those years start to blend together. And so then we have a report on enrollment. If you would go to the next slide, please, Nathan. This is the most current numbers that we have of K through 12 enrollment. Obviously, not all of those are going to be affected by the boundaries, but I want to give the overall picture here. So currently 5,506 students. That was of last week. Who knows if it's slightly different today, but we'll go with that. And so just looking at the numbers there, when we look at K through 5, which will be what we're looking at for elementary schools for next year, we have 2,777 students, which is slightly more than what we currently have 6 through 12, which is 7 grades. And in those 6 grades of K through 5, not 6th grade, 6th grade levels, we have a few more kids. So when people say, why are we needing more room in the elementary? You can just start to see that bubble up effect right there. We basically have an entire, class difference by the time you get moving those kids up. And so next slide is where we start getting into the projections of the boundaries for K through 5 enrollment for the 26-27. Now we could have done a few things. What we opted to do here was just take what is our current enrollment and thinking it will be similar and likely it will go up. We've gone up a good 5% in this last year. So we may see some higher numbers, but a lot of that numbers comes from smaller class size falling off the end and graduating, and the bigger sizes coming up. And so for these grades, we do anticipate it should be within this ballpark of similar. And so if you look at the key line here, the projected, so these are the numbers based on the numbers we have for each of those grades today of what they would look like if Slolan opened today, based on enrollment. And we said, everybody goes to where they live in their boundary. And we changed. Now, currently at the bottom, this is how many go to each of those schools. And if tomorrow we said, nope, you're going where the boundaries, this is how the numbers would change. So we can't say for sure that's what that's going to look like next year if we get more kindergartners that live, in certain areas or things like that. But some of them will go up, some of them will go down. And of course, none of them will be at Williston Middle School Central Campus. All the 5th graders will be located within an elementary school building. Questions on this slide before we proceed, because I think there's kind of a meat and potatoes moment there.
Board members, any questions? Mrs. Willer.
No, I do not.
No questions for me.
Wonderful. Okay. So the next slide is basically a repeat, just a different way to look at what was presented from Dr. Germanson's presentation earlier about the entire process of moving people. I guess the only thing is really neat to note here, the second bullet point at the top, similar opportunity of this first time, where do you want to go? That will only happen again if and when we open, hopefully we do, another school. So that's a very unique opportunity. And all the time target dates are there. And then staff feedback, this was already covered as well, but these are some of the, sorry, next slide, please. I forgot to tell you, Nathan. Some of the bullet pointed of what we're hearing people say: fair and equitable, structured, well organized. Those are nice things to hear. Of course, the fun word, transparent. Like, we like to hear that it feels like we know what's going on, nothing's being pulled over our eyes, clearly communicating, giving that staff voice and choice, proactive, supportive of staff needs, and building confidence in that planning. So people feel like, okay, this is might be tricky, but we can do this. And then last slide, I'll just leave you on for any questions on this. On the map, this is zoomed out. And so this is the entire district here, and this is zoomed into being just the city limits I've been here.
Board members, any questions? Anybody online? Any questions? Board members?
No.
Questions for me?
Okay. Thank you for your presentation on that. We will need looking for a motion to, Dr. Germanson has confirmed, I believe that he's in compliance. For the board, we would be looking at a motion for, interpretation is reasonable, evidence supports compliance. Do we have that motion?
So moved.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, I'll give you the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Wheeler, any conversation? Any discussion? Hearing none. Paul, could you call the roll?
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter,
Aye.
Brenner,
Aye.
Kilgore, Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 6B, operational expectation, communicating with public.
All right, OE9, communicating with the public and superintendent's interpretation that the district maintains clear, timely, and strategic two-way communication with the public about the district's work in progress, calls for sharing accurate information, providing opportunities for input, and publishing an annual progress report. I'm gonna say that I'm not in compliance, but we are over the moon in compliance. Paula and her team do an amazing job with communications. So Paula, tell us why I think you're over the moon.
Will do, happy to. Okay, so I don't have a full presentation on this, but we have some highlights that we'll show you. First, I just want to talk about the areas in this monitoring report that we're taking a look at. District website, which I have a few stats for you that we'll just highlight when we're done going over this. That the website continues to, traffic to the website and use of it and time on the website continues to increase, showing that families and community members are relying on it as a trusted source of information. And instead of saying, hey, does anybody know, like, go look on the website, and that's good. The district has been enhancing ADA compliance and improving translation capabilities. And then while creating additional websites to give families a single accessible place to find information they need. Couple examples of that, this is the first year we had a homecoming page. When you get all the information here or there, and sometimes this is going to take some growth and just us being here and saying, hey, we can make a one-stop shop. We'll highlight a couple other things like that that are helpful to say, let's make a page for that. This was the first year. The third year I attempted, but the first year we got a page with all the picture days on it. It was really cool. So things like that are really helpful if we can have a one-stop shop. Also, in order to strengthen that two-way communication, we added a couple emails onto that to the website and just in general. So we didn't have one for district office before because people would say, I need to talk, and they don't know what department or whatever. So we find that that has worked very, very well to have the district office email that a few of us are on, but we have Tammy at the lead, and then she lets us know if she needs us. And then we also have info at Williston Schools because there's only communications before. It's a long word. So people don't like typing that stuff out. But some easy to find contact options. Also, we have a community feedback webpage, houses all the surveys and responses. We haven't had that many lately, but so that we have that transparency and that follow through. So we're not just giving surveys and then you never know what the results are. And it's always there for you to go and look at. And other pieces like that, community meetings. And we had a lot of community meetings last year, but most of them were focused on boundaries, but we'll continue to have those that seem appropriate for what it is people are looking to give their input on. And then the district also uses Parent Square social media platforms and partnerships with local media to share information and highlight opportunities for feedback so that we can, sometimes I even just go down to the Senior Citizen Center and bring printed out survey information or handouts or whatnot, because they don't like digital a lot of times. And so we can just meet them where they're at and try to make it accessible to everyone. Also, we updated, and this was actually Dr. Germanson had initiated this prior to becoming superintendent, updating communication framework instead of a chain of command. Who do I go to for this? So that's on our website to help families and staff know where to direct their questions or concerns. And then Parent Square, that we are in our 4th year of using Parent Square as a major platform for two-way communication. It does keep getting better. I think we keep refining what we're doing with it. And it provides built-in translation tools and ADA compliance, accessibility features, making it easier for families to engage. And they can opt in. They can just have it run through their email if they want, or get the app. That's up to them. And connect with their teachers. Social engagement, social media engagement, I'll show you a few stats on that, but that continues to grow. Strong growth with increase in followers daily, engagement and views trending upward, which is great. And over the past year, we've been using our Instagram more, so we see some following there. And, you know, again, it's about accessibility. YouTube, LinkedIn, resulting greater reach of engagement across all platforms and strengthening those connections. So we have the school communication survey, and those of you who are new to the board may not be as familiar with this. We call it the SCOPE survey, or we don't call it that. The National School Public Relations Association is the one who administers that. And we have done it twice, once prior to me coming on board, which would have been the spring of 23. And they did that as part of a communication audit. And that was one of the things that my position coming into play and things like that. And then we did a follow-up one last fall, but they said it really wasn't the best time. We did it to be in compliance with our OE or whatever, but it wasn't a great time to do it in September because they barely just got started with school. And as far as comparison, the other one was in the spring. So we plan to do it again every spring, and they do offer it as a standalone, and that will give, that gives good data. So far, we just still have last year's, and so it just says we'll have it done by the end of June this year or whatever. We'll get in the rhythm of doing those in the spring. And so when you see that come out, you like push it, make everyone you know fill it out. And then the annual report. Last year was the first annual report that we've ever seen from the district or anything like that. And that was published October 31st. Not a great day, but again, we did it to get it out in time for the OEs. We did just get our data that we're looking to incorporate, and so we'll see that annual report probably coming out in November. However, I think that after this year, we'll be able to do it in the summer because the state, now that they're in their new testing assessment information, this year it took them months to get it back. And they said it'll be more like a instant, here's your assessment data. So that will be a good project for summer, and then we could get that annual report done before the next school starts, so we're not all confused about school years. So if you want to take a look, please, at the couple little handouts here. It'll be this one, the other PDF, sorry. We'll take a look at a little glimpse of our website stats and the Facebook. So what did the 0 say to the 8? Nice belt. I owe that to Fran Zaire at Job Service. She told that one while we were away. It's a good one for kids. It is a good.
Dad joke of the day, that'd be
a great one. Thank you. I'm glad I could be helpful. Thank you, Nathan. This is perfect. So this is just a little bit, we do have some, it was so funny. You're still laughing. I see that is chuckleheads. Okay, we have the overall WillistonSchools.org, which houses underneath it. I guess the school websites are within it, but overall, we do have a lot of views because people log into it from schools and whatnot, but still up 72%. And those are huge numbers, 780,000 views. It's hard to wrap your brain around that, but when we use it within the school too, and this is from the October to October. So we've seen it up 72%, which is a lot because we were already using it quite well. It was going well. So here's a few major pages that we've seen a big rise. Careers up 51%. We did do a rework of this now, most recently, and roll that out. enroll. We've been trying to make that more easy for people to follow. Hopefully that'll be another one that continues to grow and people going there and knowing where to get that information. We added a new page calendar. Before it was just the handout, which is not ADA compliant and just some of us can't read it very well. And so we added a whole page and there's some features in there that make it easier. Plus we had 2 calendars going for a while, which we probably will again if we do 2 at once. So anyway, that we've had a lot of views on that. Big ticket items, these 2 school supplies and back to school page. This was their second year of being in existence. So this was their first year. And people are like, oh, hey, I can find stuff I need here. Or, oh, hey, the school supplies rolls out. Well, they're way up in use in these last 2 years and people go back to them and you don't have to memorize them and you know where to find them. The other one that we're glad to see is food services. So that has a combination of things about free and reduced lunch things, but also just menus and how do I pay and all that type of stuff to make that a little bit more prominent. So just one thing about promotion and people knowing, having great resources is one thing, but people knowing about them, being able to use them. Nathan, if you could scroll down a little bit. The summer meals program has been in existence for a while. I will say Regina took over, it was even less here. Regina took over during this time period and the summer meals program served 14,000. They grew it a little bit, added a school, but we see the promotion of that and making sure people readily know it's available and it's there has really helped in about doubling how many meals they serve and getting that word out. A recruitment example, if you scroll down a little bit more, this is what we're getting for average and just a little bit down or the other way, just so we can see this peak up here. And you can see this is para number of applications per week. And then we do a para campaign and boop, you know, and those are the hard things where we want to be doing that for everything all at once. But if you didn't notice, we post a lot of stuff. So you can only get so many things out that way, but whenever you do a campaign like that, it really helps. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. Next page, we'll look at this top. Yep, if we can keep this much in there. So Facebook, if you're not a follower, make sure you go on your phone right now and be a follower. It's amazing how many people are looking at our stuff when you look at, and they're not even followers. They're just seeing it, but they don't actually go follow. So I would think we should be easily at 10,000, but it's a slow go because people don't want to commit, you know, like if somebody finds out I'm following them. I don't know. But our average interactions, and you guys that were here before know, we were already doing good. We were doing well. Our average interactions have gone up 96%. And that's not because they're saying nasty stuff. That's the cool part. Because we do see people that, you know, we have a little bit of it today. There's some troublemakers that hang out, wait to say something, but nobody else engages back with that now. And so they kind of go away. But our average views up here, you can't quite see it. Can you scroll this way a little bit, Nathan, if this makes sense? So I can, anyway, it's up 16%. I'll keep, I guess the other way. I wanted to see this corner right here. So 12.5, think about that. So we put a post out there, 12.5 thousand, way more than how many followers we have, but that's how many views. We're up 16% reach. Now, think about, scroll down a bit. Rio, he's our only real viral post. So we got to give it to, actually Heather said, we can't use that one because that wasn't us. I'm like, none of this is us, right? This is just showcasing what these people, our staff, our students, our community are doing. And so, yeah, this is over 100,000 and lots of love, lots of shares, lots of comments. And this doesn't even capture some of the stats once it's out there. So this is our biggie. But here's what people really like. Obviously, we have more followers, we have more people watching. So the newer stuff all hits the high stats. But so our bigger stats that aren't 100,000, homecoming, you know, capturing a little bit of everybody. You got adults, kids, everything that's going on. That's about 50,000. This full circle capturing a staff person whose son now came back to be a staff person. That's in there. And then first day of school, everybody's looking for their kid. And you guys are in the top. You're number 5. Good job. The official results of the school board. So people are interested in that as well. if you scroll down a little bit, Dr. G had us started doing some district spotlight and really wanting to spotlight people that we may not really think about working at the school and how many different types of positions there are to make things function well. So here's our top one of the district spotlight, Tammy DeVoe, because everybody loves, or Debo. I always say her name wrong. Deferred maintenance may only have 4,500, but this one comment saying, nice to see some stuff getting done. You know that other people are thinking that, and the fact that we're getting the information out there, those are Dr. G's ideas. And so it's a team effort where we bring it together and say, let's get on the roof, whatever you want to call it, and do that. And then Things Are Good video. That was really fun and came together lovely. That has good views. So we're going to be continuing to do that. I could not do that without my counterpart, Heather. And then finally, a couple honorable mentions. Whenever we can highlight here, we have a high school student doing their CTE class at our pre-K. And what that brings across the span of things, that's really great to highlight out there. Our hiring event, that got a lot of shares. So we saw as far as that goes, but nothing really beats the school supply list. It really is what people are waiting for. To get 704 people clicking on that. And we sent it right to their email, but they're still on this. So whether it's information, people, staff, kids, they eat it up, they love it, they appreciate it. And we're just grateful for such a nice turnaround in the community that we have all these interactions that are really giving a lot of positive praise back to the staff and the district. So
Could we also say that my grandson being so cute has something to do with this as well?
He didn't hit the top, but he is scrolling in our gallery, so
Okay,
check him
all
out.
right. Just want to make sure.
Hello. Well, I'm acquaintant.
What is that?
Oh, I didn't
Any
stay there for
questions?
any questions, sorry.
But I would just want to say the amount of information that is now being shared across the district that is highlighting the positives is amazing to see after being on the board as long as I have now. I'm sure Ms. Willer can attest. It's great to see the good, and Paula, your passion behind it, and it's clear that we have the right person in the right place. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Board members, we would be looking for motion for interpretation is reasonable, evidence supports compliance. Do we have that motion?
A motion.
A motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
To Mr. Murray. All right, any discussion?
I have one comment, if I may.
Yes, sorry, Mrs. Will.
That's all right. Excellent presentation. And I want to make a request that Paula needs to come up with a joke of the month because I'm still giggling.
That was cute. That would be good. Yes, we could do that. Just for you.
I just think it would be hilarious. Sorry. Anyway, thank you.
Paula, could you call?
Luder,
Aye.
Brenner,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barge,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, committee reports, governance committee reports. I'm sorry, give me just a second. Try to keep everything from working. So that I don't get in trouble for messing this stuff up. All right. Governance committee, we met, we went over some policies, they're all pertaining to packet, some for approval, some with alterations. But ultimately it was a good meeting, and we addressed the superintendent evaluation, which is also here for the board to make a decision on as well. So we can get that all and get out, so we can do the evaluation and have it in on time. We met once and then we met a second time for additional updates to that superintendent evaluation, which is what you'll see here this evening. Other than that, it's a great meeting. I think we're performing the process that the board is looking for, so I'm feeling good about that committee as well. It's staying in its lane and we're doing a good job. Any questions?
Is it appropriate now to bring that up for the? I mean, because I do see that's a number 9 too, I think. For the external review on the evaluation. It would have been on the CAAB. It's right when it talks about the board will determine organizational performance based on the systematic monitoring process. I just didn't understand what the external review meant and like how were we, if you were to select a third party, what does that look like?
If we were to select a third party, it would be if there were issues, and maybe there was board conflict, maybe we needed to seek somebody outside to gather more data and information around a certain situation pertaining to the superintendent and their performance, or the organization itself to see if we're missing something. So it would be a board decision to go to that level, and I think it would take a pretty high level issue to occur where we would want that information to come out.
Oh, thank you. I just didn't quite understand what that process was. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Who is presenting on? Sorry, my screen scrolled on me. The planning committee report.
That would be me. So we really didn't have a lot this month for planning committee, so we used it as an opportunity to tour the Sloan Elementary. And Mrs. Sluter and myself, along with J.E. Dunn and JLG and Dr. Germanson and a number of other individuals toured the school. It is coming along phenomenally. It was an excellent tour, very thorough, good opportunity to ask a lot of questions. All the information that the architects and contractors are supplying to us is very up to date. Yeah, it was just a very good tour. Mrs. Sluter, did you want to add anything about the tour?
I think you covered it. I mean, I really appreciated that we had the opportunity to do it. I mean, honestly, I was close to tears because I worked really hard to get that bond approved with a couple other people in the community, and it was so exciting to see the progress.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully we can do that again as a planning committee in a few months, see where things are sitting at, and then move forward with the additional tours to make sure updates are coming to the board on a regular basis.
Board members, any questions from the planning committee? Hearing none. Board members, I know it's getting a little late here. Does anybody need a recess, or would you like to continue on with the agenda? Anybody get 5 minutes? No, everybody good? Okay. Just making sure. All right, matters reserved for board action. We are moving on to item 8A, approve the new superintendent evaluation document. You guys have had a chance to review this. It's document number 2. Is there any questions, comments, concerns pertaining to this? Do we have a motion for approval?
I move to approve the superintendent evaluation draft number 2 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Board members, any discussion? Mrs. Wheeler? Mrs. Sluter?
Nope.
No.
Paul, could you call the roll?
Renner,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barsh,
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item B, approve the draft settlement agreement reviewed in the August 11th executive session. Real quick, I have a prepared statement from legal on this. The next item on the agenda is recommendation to approve agreement. Board action will be requested on this item, which includes a confidential record that is exempt from open record, open meeting requirements under NDCC 44-04-19.2 and the Family Education Rights Privacy Act, FERPA, 20 USC 1232G. Because the settlement agreement and the minor student involved are confidential, the details of the matter and the agreement cannot be discussed in open meeting. That being said, the school board has been provided with legal counsel. The settlement agreement has received court approval and the draft settlement agreement remains unedited since the school board reviewed the agreement in the executive session held on August 11th, 2025. My recommendation is that this school board take final action to issue its approval of the court-approved settlement agreement. Therefore, I'm asking the non-conflicted school board members for a motion of approval of the settlement agreement on behalf of the school district. The motion I would be looking for is I move to approve the court-approved settlement agreement referenced on the agenda. Do we have such motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Paul, could you please call the roll?
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Abstain.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Abstain.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 9, superintendent consent agenda. Do we have a motion for approval?
Approve the superintendent consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Paula, could you call the roll?
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 10, board consent agenda. Do we have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We give it to Mrs. Sluter. Any discussion? Paula, could you call the roll?
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh. Sluter.
Aye.
Brenner.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 11, board debrief of the meeting. Mr. Brenner, you were the rotating board member. Anything you'd like to say?
I enjoyed the positivity of the meeting. McVay staff being able to recite their model without paper, without having to look at it. So congratulate them for their memories. Also appreciated Penny and just her information of the pride in the Clay Target League and how far that's come in just a short amount of time. Mr. Huss's update on the Legislative Study Council, that three-part is interesting and informative, and I'll be excited to hear more about what's happening with that. Greatly appreciate HR's efforts to increase the salaries, especially paras, which I feel are kind of the backbone of the district at times, and a lot of times kind of go unnoticed with the jobs that they do. So I appreciate their effort. The Sloan staff hiring process, I appreciate Dr. Germitson's efforts to just find a balance between the emotions involved in moving staff, based with the needs of the district to staff that new building. Otherwise, Mr. Arnold, appreciate your information on the budget. Something I know very little about, but you seem to put it in layman's terms a lot of times, which is helpful. But Paula, excellent job on the PR work. I do agree that it's been positive the last year or so, which is kind of a nice change in the district. So otherwise, overall positive.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:33 PM. That's pretty good with the very.
1 minute faster than last month.
Hey, and that was a robust.
If you wouldn't have told your joke, we would have been fine. It was your joke.
It was
Oh,
worth it.
goodness, the joke was hilarious.
I thought we were gonna have to gavel right now.
I told my son that joke and he isn't so great.
What?
That's